Hey, what's happening, everyone? It is I, the man, the myth, the mustache, Tim here with a brand new video for you. Welcome to Season 1, Part 2 of What If My Hero Academia Had a Suicide Squad. Once again, please sit back and relax because this is going to be a very good episode with a couple of funny parts. So sit back and relax because you're in for a treat. With that out of the way, let's get this story going, shall we? So a little birdie told me Exless bit the big one. His voice was calm, smooth, and collected as he walked into the warden's office. This was Japan's new number 2 hero, Hawks. Since the symbol of peace, All Might, had retired after being defeated by the symbol of darkness, All for One. The Dark One, however, did not go unscathed. He got away, but not before All Might fried his rapid regeneration quirk with his plus ultra finisher, the United States of Smash. Now, the Flame Hero Endeavor was number 1, and Hawks rose up a rank. Rotating around from his large ambassador-style chair, the warden turned to face him. Suppressing a snarl at the audacity, the warden took a controlled breath. The hero did not even have the decency to knock before entering. How droll. Forcing himself to not roll his eyes at the sight before him, at least he knew this one had a brain and more sense than Team 1's previous commander. His name, Xlax, X something, or anything. It didn't matter, for it had escaped his mind. Not the warden's fault, he was just that forgettable. Welcome, parakeet, he said with great sarcasm in his voice. He had just finished reading the winged hero's dossier. Placing the file down, he cracked his neck. At least Hawks was better than X whatever, though by how much was yet to be seen. Hawks. The winged hero was giving off a minor annoyance. Parrot, he said, raising an eyebrow with a slight scoff in his throat. At the second name, the hero squawked, Hawks! Oh, Sparrow, he said, rolling the R's, and with a snap of his fingers, pointing it out like a light bulb, just went off. Hawks! H-A-W-K-S! The instigation was becoming maddening. What in the world was wrong with this man? Yeah, I know. You go. Red feathers shot out as the warden rotated his chair, dodging them. In a flash, he was already on the winged hero with his fist embedded deeply in his stomach. Caw-caw, caw-caw, he hissed through gritted teeth. The warden was strong, inhumanly so. Whether it was quirk-based or not, no one really knew or could tell. Before becoming the ruler of Japan's ultra-max supervillain prison, he started at the bottom as a guard, quickly rising up the ranks in a matter of a few years. He then set his sights as the prison's master. Officially, he became warden after a riot broke out, forcing the previous warden and deputy warden to retire. They had been gravely injured by that day's events. Unofficially, rumors state that after the Hero Public Safety Commission sent Lady Nagant, they collaborated his ascension by instigating the riot. Son of a... was all the crimson-winged hero could squawk before losing his lunch all over the warden's forearm. In response, the massive man removed his fist and flung Hawk's own sick back on him. Disgusted by the sight before him, the warden removed his overcoat, placing it on his right forearm, careful not to get the rest of the vomit on his uniform. Survive past your second mission, and I might learn your name. For now, you are Leader 1. He then moved back to his desk, opening the long horizontal drawer where the chair would dock into. He pulled out and replaced his gloves, tossing his previous pair into the trash bin on the left side of his desk. The warden then tossed his overcoat at Hawks, telling him to clean himself up, then throw that away. The hero did as he was told, then composed himself. You know what? Hawks took a moment to process, then shrugged his shoulders. I'm okay with that. Leader 1 sounds actually kinda cool. Whatever gets you off. Gesturing with a wave, Hawks was dismissed just as the clock struck, then chimed loudly, signaling lights out. It was midnight when the selection process started. The warden issued the command, and 4 of the 5 chosen one's cells filled with knockout gas. The 5th was a simple insurance policy for one of them. There was no need for the operation, for it had already been done. Extra guards were assigned to the first one, and before they even entered the cell, They'd made sure its occupant was completely unconscious. This inmate had taken out the camera in his cell several times, so they had to go in with a scope camera first. Looking in, they spotted him on the ceiling via some hidden ninja technique. His blanket was ripped and covering his mouth and was somehow wet. A quick glance towards the toilet revealed what he did. This was Stain, aka the hero killer. Quirk, blood-curdling. If he tasted his victim's blood, he could put them in a paralyzing state of suspended animation. This was how he used his quirk to kill several low-ranking heroes that did not fit in his personal ideology on what a hero should be.
Good luck on recruiting me. Come in and have a taste of what's to come for you.
A quick pop of the door, and a round spherical object rolled in.
Nani?
Stain leapt from the ceiling to go for his mattress, only for the sphere to explode. Several anesthesia-filled darts were sent flying at him. He soon dropped like a sack of potatoes. At the loud thud, the guards then came in and secured him along with disarming him. It was no secret. They knew he made various stabbing needles and shanks during his downtime. Stain was then placed on a stretcher and strapped down tightly, restricting all movement. They were taking no chances, as he was then wheeled to the medical wing. At the next villain's cell, the Correctional Emergency Response Team, or CERT, was called in. All of them. Tartarus needed every available guard that was not essential, meaning any guards that were part of a team watching a dorm were to leave their partner and back CERT up in this extraction. From behind the solitary confinement door, they knew the gas had no effect on this creature. Even with a quirk-canceling collar, this big POS bastard of a villain was highly dangerous. Even now, they could hear his monstrous laughter echoing, bellowing out of his cell and into the hallway.
It'll take more than that perfume to do me in, assholes.
This was Muscular. Quirk, pump up. He had the ability to grow muscle fibers at will in layers to increase his mass, strength, and endurance to nigh superhuman levels. He was considered roughly on par with the Symbol of Darkness, all for one. The feeding slot opened up as a grenade launcher barrel was pushed through and unleashed all 12 of its tear gas grenades. The monster breathed it in a horrid laughter.
Citrusy. Anybody else craving oranges right now?
Muscular went for the launcher barrel, but it was snatched away before he could even touch it.
Guess not, bitches.
Back away from the cell door. The voice was male. His voice was slightly muffled under his helmet and face shield.
Make me!
The blonde-haired supervillain bellowed as he slipped his hand through the metal slot and flipped the correctional officers off. You heard him. Bring in Herman. The guard issuing orders took a step to the side as heavy footsteps echoed up the hallway leading to Muscular's cell.
Herman?
He removed his hand from the slot so he could look outside his cell.
Who the hell's Herman?
A sudden whirl began to ring out.
What the fuck?
The cell door swung open, knocking Muscular back unexpectedly, and a large guard in an insulated suit was revealed, holding what could only be described as an electric minigun and backpack generator. Meet Herman. The gun, not the guard.
Hi.
The minigun unleashed an electric blast that could kill a herd of bison, launching Muscular into his cell wall behind him. The Herman pinned the POS there long enough to leave his black outline on it permanently. And his name is Tim. I'm Tim. The Herman wielder gave a little wave with the barrel of the minigun, and then blasted Muscular again. His voice was a bit high-pitched and nasally. Nighty-night. Tim then moved aside as guards wheeled in a titanium Iron Maiden with a vented window where the face would be. They opened it up and strapped the monstrous muscle fiber building villain inside. On the back of the Iron Maiden was another window near the base of the head where the neck begins. This video is sponsored by Grubhub. With more than 3,000 store locations, Grubhub offers on-demand convenience delivery across the country. You can search for restaurants by cuisine or location, quickly order food from the menu, and track your order from the app, all hassle-free and without any extra charges. Grubhub charges less than other food delivery services, allowing you to get the best value for your money. With Grubhub Plus, you can get free delivery prices for 10 meals every month on orders of $12 or more for only $9.99 a month. That's not all, though. You can use the code AFF25 to save 25% off your first mobile order of $15 or more. This code is for a limited time, though, so again, get $25 off your first mobile order of $15 or more now if you use the code AFF25. Check the link in the description. Thank you once again to Grubhub for sponsoring this video. The escort to the medical wing at Tartarus was slow and cautious. When they finally arrived, the other two newly recruited squad members were already prepped for surgery. On two tables were Gentle Criminal and the former head of the Shia Hisakai, Kai Chisaki, aka Overhaul, name and former quirk. On a third table strapped down next to where the Iron Maiden was to be placed, face down, was Stain. He was still unconscious with a new stitching behind his neck. Back with Overhaul, couplings were now attached and seared to where his arms would be. Before coming to Tartarus, Tamura Shigaraki had decayed his arms off, leaving him a villainous nugget with legs. However, now he was being upgraded with the latest in metal prosthetics from a company in Germany called FMA. They would not give him back his quirk, but they did give him an arsenal to make up for it. By morning, the surgeries were complete, and the new Team 1 was recovering in a briefing room. Stain was the first one to awaken from the anesthesia. The room he was in was about the size of a large conference room. However, instead of a large table taking up the majority of the room, there were cots, each with side tables. To Stain's left were two large sliding doors. To his front was a blank wall that doubled as a monitor. When not in use, it blended in with the surrounding walls. To Stain's right, in an almost semicircle formation, were the other chosen ones.
What the hell?
He looked around as suddenly his eyes became ablaze with his own form of self-righteous bloodlust.
Die!
Stain had been waiting for an opportunity like this to present itself. Now he was going to take full advantage of it.
Tut tut, my dear Stain. I would not recommend doing that.
Stain suddenly felt a shock going through his entire system.
First and final, unless you want your head to explode like pustule.
The wall activated, becoming a large monitor with a low hum. On it was the Warden, revealed in all of his intimidating glory. He had his hands folded and gently placed on his desk in front of him. Stain stopped dead in his tracks as the shock faded. He shook in fury as he suddenly felt the twinge behind his neck. He touched it, only to hiss in pain.
So now I'm a slave in your suicide squad?
He growled as the sound of a ragged breath being exhaled soon followed. Stain's fists crackled and popped as he clenched them in defeat.
No, just my new employee. I'll explain in full once the others have awakened.
Kai Chizaki was next. He rubbed his head on instinct, only to feel cold metal touch his forehead.
Mr. Overhaul, how wonderful.
Chisaki's eyes widened as he looked at his new arms and hands in disbelief. Now entertained, the Warden raised his hands, still folded, and now covered his mouth as he leaned in.
They are the latest in German engineering, my dear boy, with an astonishing 1-to-1 reaction time.
Overhaul held back his emotions. He was whole again. The former Yakuza head could now feed himself normally.
Truly a modern marvel.
An apple then rolled out of a wall dispenser and onto the side table next to him.
It has been sanitized 3 times. Do go on. Eat. Eat, Mr. Overhaul.
Chisaki took the apple with his hand, though he could not feel its texture. He picked it up and ate.
Goody. It's the best thing I've ever tasted.
He then looked at the monitor.
What's it gonna cost me? In time, Mr. Overhaul. Oh, look. Another has awakened.
Muscular groaned.
And he's a real monster, this one.
Muscular looked around, fighting his instinct to lash out. The company he was with were some of the top villains in Tartarus.
Apparently with some intelligence.
A pleased smirk began to form behind the folded hands.
Doesn't take an Eisenstein to figure out who these bastards are. Save the one with the goofy-ass mustache and Van Dyke beard. I have no fucking idea who that is.
His words were laced with vile profanities, reserved for only the lowest of degenerates and dullards. Next to him, the man with the Van Dyke beard awoke, appalled by the abominable beast of a villain. "How uncouth, you foul-mouthed ruffian!" Muscular then flipped him off. "Have you no shame or shred of decency, you hooligan?"
Yeah, I'm gonna risk my head being blown up.
To which he made his way towards Gentle Criminal. Muscular already knew the deal and did not care. Before he was captured, he heard whispers of a sort of villainous cavalcade of the worst Japan had to offer playing hero. They were rumored to be enslaved by bombs surgically placed inside their heads. Judging by the pain he was feeling near the back of his neck, the whispers rang true. Gentle Criminal turned pale as Muscular was quickly approaching him, only for a large black bird like Frankenstein's monster with an exposed brain to fall from the ceiling. It roared, grabbing Muscular by his throat and slamming him into the ceiling rafters. His back hit the metal with a loud clang, to which the black bird then dropped him.
A freaking Nomu? How in the hell?
Eyes widened at his nightmare come true. Besides All for One, Muscular only feared one other thing: Nomus. The one that now stood in front of him especially shook him to its core. It was the one from the Unforeseen Simulation Joint, or USJ. The door to the briefing room suddenly slid open. "Well, I see my new little bird has made his introduction." A knowing smirk graced the crimson-winged hero's face. He crossed his arms as his wings shot up, giving the illusion he was larger than what he was. The Nomu only warbled in response, as Muscular backed off away from it and Gentle Criminal.
Hawks!
Was the collective shout among the chosen squad. "Hey, yo!" was the greeting his new squad got, along with a two-finger salute and a flirty wink. A cough brought them back to the monitor.
"I see Leader 1 has arrived. Now, sit the hell down and shut the fuck up."
The sounds of knuckles cracking got the inmates to do as they were told.
"You were all chosen to pay society back for all the bullshit you all have collectively caused. In short..."
The warden took a drag from his Ashton Eclipse cigar, then expelled its smoke.
"You have 3 missions of my choosing, to survive in exchange for time off your sentences."
They all were about to question.
"No, you do not have that privilege. The choices you make from here on till your 3-mission completion are mine to make, refuse, and well, I snap my fingers and disobedience gets dealt with."
It took a moment to pull another drag from his expensive cigar, then expelled it.
Permanently.
He then cut off the monitor, ending his interaction with them. Well, he's not one for long explanations. Good. The hero then turned to face his new squad. "I'm your commanding officer. Talking to me is like talking to the warden." He looked at each of them through narrowed eyes. "Questions? No? Goody." Hawks then briefed the team on their first mission, the Cult of the Sun. Several A and C class-based villains had taken over a small village where Gigantomachia seemed to call home and worshipped him as if he was a god with a little g. Their mission was to get in, take them out by any means necessary, and then relocate the village to the other side of the mountain, away from Gigantomachia. Hawks, now known as Leader 1, handed out the dossiers on each of the cultists. They all wore Aztec masks that represented a blasphemous Gigantomachia version of Zuipili, or, as he was more commonly known as, Totek. "So these villagers, why have they not taken up arms to face these fanatics?" This was the first question that came up. Surely these villagers would not simply just take this. Surely they would bear arms to defend themselves and their home. "Well, Gent, they're all about 100 years old." The response was so matter-of-fact it was mind-numbing. "Not amused, Leader 1. The audacity of this hero. Lives were at stake, and here he was making whimsy. In truth, Gentle Criminal was a good, honorable man with a code of villainous ethics, driven by fame and notoriety rather than for money or cruelty. The truth was, if it was not for this, he would actually make for a pretty decent hero. His quirk, elasticity, bestows the property of elasticity to anything he touches, making it stretchable, bendable, and bouncy. This quirk can affect anything, from the ground to the air itself. He cannot cancel the effects himself. Instead, the effect wears off on its own after some time has passed. No, I'm serious. Hawks turned from the monitor after it blended into the wall to face Gentle Criminal. The average villager there is quite literally 100 years old or damn near it.
Oh, my apologies.
Given a pause, he quickly took back his words.
So what? Let the old bastards die.
It was no surprise to everyone in the room that this was Muscular's answer.
It's what old people do.
Why should we intervene? Overhaul asked. From a layman's perspective, the mission did not make sense, much less a need for their talents. Why should I risk my neck for these crotchety old crows? Besides the warden saying so? That should have been a good enough answer. However, Hawks loved the sound of his own voice. Most of them are considered high-value assets to the general food supply running the country. So they die. So what? There are plenty of other farmers in Japan. This was still not adding up. Other than a minor hike in food prices, why did this even matter? That use their seeds to grow and keep growing all year round. They may be old crotchety crows, but these are some of the most intelligent old birdies Japan has ever produced, and have advanced our agricultural technology further than the rest of the world. Lose them, and that's too heavy of a profit loss for the country to take. Now it made sense. Money. Hawks then heard a snort from Stain, who now had his arms crossed in disgust.
So, money, is it?
He wasn't one for such capitalistic goals. In a currency-driven economy, yeah. So chop chop, little birdies. Get ready. We leave at 2000 hours. Hitting a button on his watch that the warden gave him, the walls behind their bedside tables opened up. Food slid down upon the table perfectly, with a sealed plastic spork in a bag. They were going to need their energy for the mission ahead. And that is our video for the day, so thank you all for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, before I go, there's a little bit of housekeeping I want to go over with all of you. First, if you want some more great storytelling, We the Celestials has you covered. Our We the Celestials, My Hero Academia, and Naruto What If channels retell the story of their namesake anime with a twist. Check it out if you want more of that. Second, on behalf of We the Celestials, I want to thank everyone involved in today's excellent content production. Give some love to the writer and the audio editor and the video editor because they do a lot of work here. Their details can be found in the description below. Finally, if you like what we do here with the Celestials, then I want to extend an invitation to join our team. We only have one caveat: you must be 16 years or older to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interests by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. And that's it for today's video, once again. So thank you all for watching and have an amazing day. And as always, be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, and stay awesome. This has been Tim. Mustache out.